아, 안녕하세요. 졸려요. 너무 졸려요. 야간 2일차입니다. 어제 낮에 잘 못 자가지고, 멍합니다. 멍해요. 하루 종일. 근데 오늘 낮에도 잠이 잘 오려나 모르겠습니다. 어쨌든 일단, 오늘 300일차예요. 300일차. 기록적인 날이죠. 300일. 제가 300일을 할 수 있을 거라고 생각을 못 했습니다. 그래서 오늘은 300일 특집으로 팔굽혀펴기를 300개를 할 겁니다. 어떻게 할 거냐면은 초심으로 돌아가서, 요거 기억나십니까? 제 영상을 1회를 보신 분들은 아시겠지만, 자, 요거 카드인데 요 카드 하나가 10개예요. 총 30개입니다. 30세트 할 거예요. 30세트. 팔굽혀펴기 10개씩 30세트. 할 수 있을지 모르겠습니다. 30분 동안 운동을 하면서 300개를 할 수 있을지. 제가 봤을 때 100개까지는 그나마 여유 있게 할 텐데, 150개, 그 다음부터는 팔이 안 움직이지 않을까요? 아무튼 10개씩 30개 하도록 하겠습니다. 푸시업 바는 쓰지 않도록 하겠습니다. 그냥 할게요. 일단 스트레칭을 하면서 하도록 하겠습니다. CNN도 보고.
When you travel the world, make sure the world travels with you. Check in, log on, and get connected with all of the latest developments at your fingertips. CNN Partner Hotels, connected to your world.
I'm Will Ripley in Tokyo, Japan, and this is CNN.
The party, the Democratic Party, as I was just saying, you had Hillary Clinton endorsing Joe Biden.
시작하겠습니다.
For the break. And we were talking about allegations about
10개씩 30세트예요. 300개.
a woman decades ago. I want to go to MJ Lee. Said she had new reporting on this, and I wanted to start, MJ, by asking you about this woman, Tara Reid. What is she alleging about Joe Biden?
Tara Reid is a woman who was an aide in Joe Biden's Senate office back in the 1990s. And what she has previously told CNN is that in 1993, she was asked to deliver a duffel bag to then Senator Biden. And somewhere in a corridor on Capitol Hill, she had an interaction with him where he had her up against a wall, spread open her legs with his knee, and put his fingers inside of her. Now, the Biden campaign has vehemently denied this allegation, and we'll talk about their full response in just a few minutes. But one thing to note is that Reid publicly said last year that there were interactions, physical interactions with Biden that had made her feel uncomfortable, like him touching her neck or her hair. But now she says that the full story is that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden as well.
So you spoke with Reed's former neighbor, and she's going on the record. What does she say?
번째 했는데
That's right. Linda Lacoste was Tara Reid's neighbor in
Oh,
the
못할 것 같아.
1990s in California.
못할 것
We
같아요.
spoke with her yesterday on the phone. This is after Business Insider first broke this story. Lacoste says that
큰일 났네.
in the mid-1990s,
어저께
maybe 1995,
제가 야간 근무
early
2일차예요. 원래 야간 근무 3일차까지는 진짜 힘듭니다. 잠도 잘 못 자고.
And that Reid told her details of
그리고 어저께 운동을 되게 많이 했잖아요. 아시죠? 어저께 진짜 막 스쿼트하고 팔굽혀펴기 하고 윗몸 일으키기 하고.
She was emotional. She was sort of grappling with what she
큰일
said
났네. 두
happened to
개밖에 안
her.
했는데.
And Lacoste remembers telling
30대?
Reid,
아,
you should file a police
바로
report.
가겠습니다.
Now Reid has said that she
시간이
didn't
얼마
do
없어요.
that at the
나중에는
time.
좀 많이 쉬어야 되기
So
때문에.
this account purportedly told to Lacoste within a few years of this alleged assault is the first time that we are hearing on the record and detailed corroboration of Reid's allegation against
세
Joe
번째
Biden.
했습니다.
Now, Reid's brother has told us that there was an
바로
incident at the
할게요,
time that he
또.
was aware of. He didn't know the full details, and a friend has also told CNN that she was told about the alleged assault at the time, but she is not willing to go on the record.
So MJ, do we know why Lacoste is choosing to
와,
speak
힘들다.
out now?
Well, Lacoste says that she and Tara
몇
Reid
개지?
lost contact for many years
뭐,
after
네
the
개밖에 안 했어.
1990s, and that conversation she actually had
네
about
개밖에.
for
창문 좀
all
열게요.
these years. A few years
큰일
ago,
났다.
she says they got back in touch, and last year when Tara Reid mentioned Joe Biden, Lacoste said, I remember that conversation that we had in the 1990s, and more recently she says that she told her ex-neighbor, I'm willing to talk publicly about this conversation that we had.
벌써 힘들면 안
Notably,
되는데.
Lacoste says that she is a
아직
Democrat
6분.
and that she is very opposed to President Donald Trump, and that she plans on
자, 한번더
voting for
하겠습니다.
Joe Biden come November because she absolutely cannot support Donald Trump.
So MJ, what is the Biden campaign saying in response to this?
So the Biden campaign is not addressing the Linda Lacoste allegation, her
Oh.
account, but they did refer us to the previous statement that they have released
Oh,
from
큰일 났다.
deputy campaign manager Kate Bedingfield, which reads, Vice President Biden has dedicated his public life to changing the culture and the laws around violence against women. He authored and fought for the passage and reauthorization
자,
of
한번더
the
갑니다.
Landmark Violence Against Women Act. He firmly believes that women have a right to be heard and heard respectfully. Such claims should also be diligently reviewed by an independent press. What is clear about this claim? It is untrue. This absolutely did not happen. Now, of course, Aaron, all of this comes as Joe Biden
끝났다.
is preparing to run against
못하겠다.
President Trump in the general election, and more than a dozen women have leveled allegations against Donald Trump, ranging from inappropriate behavior to sexual
항상
harassment
목표는
to
크게
assault.
잡아야 됩니다,
And
여러분.
President Trump has denied these allegations.
300개를 못 할 걸 알고 있었기 때문에 300개를 하겠다고 한 거예요. 힘들어.
Now more of our special coverage of the coronavirus pandemic. Tonight, President Trump is at odds with his own plan for coronavirus testing.
Are you saying you're confident you can surpass 5 million tests per day? Is that?
Oh, well, we're going to be there very soon. If you look at the numbers, it could be that we're getting very close. I mean, I don't have the exact numbers. We would have had them if you asked me the same question a little while ago because people with these statistics were there. We're going to be there very soon. We're really doing a great job on testing.
5 million tests a day? Well, the president's own plan, put out by the coronavirus task force, is to conduct 6 to 7 million tests a month. Now, they're nowhere near that yet, but 6 to 7 million a month, and as opposed to 5 million a day, well,
한번더
that's
하겠습니다.
just not even in the same
10분
stratosphere.
안에 원래
And
150개
Dr.
해야
Fauci
되는데.
on CNN just
지금
moments
8분.
ago saying they still need to connect the dots with states to expand the testing to begin with.
One of the problems has been is the tests getting to the people who need them. Where the tests out there, we're not connecting the dots.
The president also defending the administration's
바로
initial
할게요,
response
한번
to the
더.
pandemic. Here he is when asked if he stands by comments that he made in February. Remember when he said the number of cases would peak at 15 and drop to 0?
How did we get from a prediction of 0 to 1 million?
Well, it will go down to 0 ultimately. Any very good experts, very good people too, said that this would never affect the United States. The experts got it wrong.
몇 개지?
Well, the president also
네.
got it wrong, even after
여덟
U.S.
개?
officials told the Washington Post that they warned President Trump about the coronavirus in more than a dozen classified briefings in January and February. Well,
여덟
even
개밖에
after
못했어요.
those dozen classified briefings, as reported by the Washington Post, at the end of February, here was
다시
President
한 번 더
Trump.
하겠습니다. 빨리.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero, that's a pretty good job we've done.
Tonight, of course, the cases are not close to zero. They're more than 1 million now and expected to continue to increase for months.
90개입니다. 지금 90개.
I'm almost
한 번 빨리 더 할게요. 와, 10분
because the
넘었어.
virus is so transmissible and it's globally spread.
Next fall and winter, we're going to have two viruses circulating, and we're going to have to distinguish between which is flu and which is coronavirus.
Those top two advisors, and of course, Dr. Fauci, as you heard today, Jim McCarthy, who was at the White House, said we could be in for a bad fall and a bad winter. You know, there are a lot of mixed messages coming out of the White House.
쉬겠습니다.
I guess that to be accurate,
큰일
I
났다.
should say you have Dr. Fauci, Dr. Redfield consistently saying one thing, and
왠지
you have
오늘
the
자고
president
일어나면은
saying another.
팔이 안 잡힐 수도
That's
있을 것
absolutely
같아요.
the case. So when I posed that question to the president earlier today, he went on to say that the experts got it wrong, that they were going to say that this was going to be no problem. That's absolutely not the case. We should point out earlier in the day in the Oval Office, the president was asked about the warnings that he got earlier in the year from the intelligence community, and he pinned the blame on Dr. Anthony Fauci. At one point, he referred to, quote, Anthony, and said that Dr. Fauci essentially said that all of this was going to be no problem, in the words of the president, no problem. When the president made that comment on February 26th about the cases going down to zero, Aaron, we should point out 3 days later after that remark from the president, Dr. Fauci was on another network saying that there could be a major outbreak. Dr. Nancy Messonnier from the CDC that same week was saying that the U.S. needs to prepare for community spread. And so the president is trying to rewrite history here.
지금부터는 1분에 10개씩 해야
telling him at the time, that
20분 남은 시간 동안
we have video, we have audio.
아,
and we
30분
know that's not the
넘기겠는데?
case. But I will tell you, Aaron, I'm talking to my sources. There are surrogates close to this White House, Trump campaign surrogates, who have been putting out, really talking points to reporters.
20개 한 번에 가겠습니다.
On the experts, people like Dr. Fauci, and saying they're the ones who are giving the president the bad information. And it was really perfect that you played that
20개를 한
video
번에 할 수
from
있을지.
Dr. Redfield from the CDC.
현재 100개 했어요, 100개. 이제
Earlier today, the president was saying, well, the worst of the pandemic.
20개 한 번에
He
도전하겠습니다.
said that today in the East Room of the White House, when of course we just don't know whether or not
아,
that's the
힘이 없어.
case. And as Dr. Redfield was saying, and Dr. Fauci, they both said that the coronavirus will still be around, and it could combine with a flu
20개 한 번에
outbreak
하겠습니다.
over the winter months. And make things very difficult for the United States. And so the president, time and again, on opposite ends from his experts, and trying to rewrite history and saying that he never said these things when, of course, we know he did. Aaron.
All right, Jim, thank you. And I want to go to Dr. Ivan Walks, former District of Columbia Chief Health Officer, Gloria Borger, our Chief Political Analyst, and Ryan Goodman, co-editor-in-chief of the Just Security blog, where he has published a piece dissecting the timeline of the U.S. government's response to the pandemic. He's also former special counsel at the Department of Defense. Thanks to all. So, Gloria, let me start with you. The president, basically saying the experts made mistakes. Certainly, some of them did. We've talked about the WHO and mistakes that were made, but we also, of course, have, we know that he did receive briefings. The Washington Post is reporting at least a dozen of them, indicating the magnitude of the problem here. But that is not a responsibility that he's willing to take. I think today, in fact, he said you have to check to see how many times he was briefed.
10개 바로 가겠습니다. 10개.
Well, that was such a curious answer, wasn't it, Aaron? Imagine if you had been given a daily brief on this, and if you had listened to it, or if you had read it, and then according to the Washington Post, these briefings became more frequent and were more widely distributed.
욕할 뻔했어,
If you
욕할
were the
뻔했어.
President of the United
10개.
States, you wouldn't recall that something had been told you about a potential pandemic that could cost lives, that could ruin the economy. I mean, imagine not recalling that that had been either said to you or given to you in a presidential daily brief. I mean, that's kind of a startling piece of information to forget, isn't it?
It certainly is. Dr. Walks, it comes as again the president today
아,
says that
300개 못할 것
the
같아요.
virus, may go away, and or may come back.
와,
in a
오늘따라 이렇게
modified
시간이
form
빨리
in the fall,
가는지.
which seems quite dangerous because it implies that it's going to be a different sort of a virus, and there's no experts that have spoken of that at all. In fact, Dr. Fauci tonight says we could be in for a bad fall and a bad winter. Again, two incredibly divergent stories.
Aaron, at a time like this, you need two things. You need good leadership and you need good advice. I think most of us are pretty clear that Dr. Fauci and the other medical folks are giving good advice. What we don't have is someone who is willing to say, I'm the leader, the buck stops with me, I'm responsible for this, and what happens, I'm the one. I don't understand how that happens, because the problem with not doing that is that credibility is what leaders need. So this is like Leadership 101. Leadership 101 doesn't allow you to just blame everyone else if you want people to keep following you. It doesn't make, well, it makes sense if there's something called magical thinking going on. If you really believe that you can just wish it away, if you really believe that whatever you say is going to happen, if you just want it to happen badly enough, then you get something like this. But from a leadership perspective, from a public health perspective, it's dangerous to not have anyone at the top who is willing to take responsibility.
And Ryan, when we've looked at the timelines here, there are some basic things, as in the president, when he says he
20개,
from China,
20개 한 번에 가겠습니다.
which he did in part, but of course, 40,000 people still came through. But even with that, even after he did that, he continued to say that the virus was going to go away. You've looked very specifically at the timeline of everything we know about the government response to the virus. What stands out the most to you?
So I think what stands out the most to me echoes what Jim Acosta said, which is we now know what the president knew at the time that he was making these public statements. And what we can derive from it is, I think, is not just wishful thinking, but it's engaging in public deception. He was being told by his public health officials. He was being told by his economic advisor, Mr. Navarro. He was being told by the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Azar, twice, in which the president responded to Mr. Azar by saying he's being alarmist to raise the seriousness of the virus. And these over dozen intelligence briefings. And then if you look at the timeline, when he's being told this, he tries to squelch it and threatens to fire Dr. Messonnier.
근데 이제 내려갔다 올라오는 것도 잘 쉽지 않아요.
So the Wall Street Journal just reported that last week, and instead there's a lot of pressure placed on senior officials to fall in line. So the timeline also shows the various ways in which the senior officials start to say things in their public messaging that doesn't step out of line with the president. It's a very difficult situation for them.
I mean, Gloria, it is pretty stunning too, in addition to that contradiction, right? Consistent, and now we know what was happening behind the scenes of him saying this, that it continues even today. Right? When and the past 2 days, we said if the virus comes back, when Dr. Fauci said, I have no question it's going to come back. And then today the president says, maybe it will go away. And Dr. Fauci says, we could be in for a bad fall and a bad winter. And the president uses this very dangerous words to describe the virus, that it may be in some modified form. There is no scientific evidence that this virus is going to change form.
Right, and I think his language was, which kind of struck me, he said, we'll be able to put out spurts of the virus, whatever that means. And maybe this will just go away for months. And one day, hopefully, he might be right, Aaron. But what the public is seeing is dangerous, which is you have the scientists saying one thing, and by the way, as we know, that the public trusts Tony Fauci, for example, by
10개 가겠습니다, 10개.
over the president. So you have the scientists saying, yes, this could come back, particularly if people ease up too much on the social distancing. And you have the president who calls himself a cheerleader saying, oh, no, this is going to be fine. Well, there is a line between cheerleading and lying to the American public. And I think that the president is crossing it all the time because he's not listening to what his very own task force is telling him, and he wants to go out there to the podium every day, or whether it's in the Rose Garden or the East Room, and say, you know, we're really, this is almost over, and the economy's going to come roaring back, and don't you worry, I've got
300일 특집으로 300개를 하려고 했는데
of course, the question about
150개밖에
what the
못했습니다.
president knew and when he
실패
knew it early
원인으로는
on in this
지금
pandemic.
너무 피곤합니다.
Before it became a
너무
pandemic.
피곤해요. 야간
Thanks
2일차,
very much to all.
야간 2일차. 계속
And next,
강조합니다.
plans
야간
for
근무하고
Las
왔어요.
Vegas. I'm gonna
근데
talk to the
첫째
leader of
날
the
끝나고는 좀
casino
괜찮았는데
owners
그날
union.
낮에 잠을 잘 못
The risk
잤습니다.
to
어저께
his
낮에.
members is worth the payoff. And then to the Jersey Shore, where a mayor wants to reopen his town and the beach, even as hundreds are still dying in the Garden State. His plan, and we're going to take you where fewer people have died during the entire outbreak than die in a single hour in the United States. New Zealand. We're going to talk to an expert. What is New Zealand doing?
못하겠어요. 지금 몇 분이죠? 20분.
For most of us, the coronavirus has slowed daily life to a crawl, and the world's top athletes are having to adapt. The most decorated Olympian, American swimmer Michael Phelps, knows that the postponement of the Olympic Games could impact the
조금 더
athletes' mental
쉬다가
health, and through his
다시 한번
Instagram
10개에
page, he's
도전하겠습니다.
urging them to seek help. Meanwhile, the Under Armour sportswear firm is now making personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. They're hoping to produce 100,000 facial masks every week. And some of the world's top tennis players are going digital to try and stay competitive. Later in April, the virtual Madrid Open will offer prize money not only to those players in lower tiers who have no tournaments with which to make a living, but other causes to reduce the social impact of COVID-19. For more information on how you can help during this pandemic, go to cnn.com/impact.
팔이 안 올라가.
Viha, manager of the LA Central Library's Octavia Lab for do-it-yourself projects, was ready to shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic. And then
we got an email right as we were closing from a doctor and saying, can you make PPE?
PPE, or personal protective equipment. Viha and her team said yes, partnered with a nonprofit called Lacey, which develops clean technologies to make functional face shields. They started with a shipment of 70.
We had good foam for comfort, elastic for it to stay on, and what's nice about this version is that it folds all the way to the top. It also covers from droplets entering through the eyes from the top.
PPE are popping out of libraries, 3D printers across the country. At the University of Utah, library staff tapped campus brainpower to make an estimated 1,200 face shields for hospitals. As many libraries are sharing online how to make PPE to defend doctors and nurses, the librarians are showcasing skills that extend far beyond the reference desk in this pandemic.
One, that we are adaptable. Two, we believe truly in the public good. This is why we get into this work. And number three, it's like, we're here to help.
A local library joining the quest to put COVID-19 on the shelf.
Tonight, casinos in Las Vegas releasing plans for how they'll open up for business.
10개 하겠습니다. 10개.
Listing safety protocols.
아마 이 10개가 마지막 10개가 될 것 같아요.
They're going to do temperature checks for both guests and staff at every entrance. And in the rooms, if you're going to stay there, a personal care kit will be provided, hand sanitizer, latex gloves, and a mask, although you will not be required to wear that mask. Casino chips disinfected every 2 hours. Slot machines rearranged so that they would be social distanced.
더 할 수 있어, 더 할 수 있어, 더 할 수 있어.
Detailer
일단 10개
International
했습니다.
President of Unite Here, the largest casino workers union, and I appreciate your time.
지금 몇
Mr.
분이죠?
Taylor, so
24분.
I summarized the plan laid out by the Venetian, but you have
바로
temperature
10개 더
checks,
하겠습니다.
masks handed out, but not
할 수 있어,
required
할 수 있어.
guests, chips cleaned every 2 hours. Is that good enough?
No, not at all. We think there has to be a few things. One, we think all the workers should actually get tested before they come back. 25% of coronavirus folks, as you know, are asymptomatics. We want to make sure the workers and the guests aren't exposed to. Full allowance of PPE
이제 끝인 것
for
같아.
workers throughout where needed. 3, enforcement of
1분 더
social
쉬었다가
distancing in a
다시 한번
very
10개 도전하겠습니다.
4, cleaning standards up to the CDC on a constant basis. 5, we have to figure out shifts. So, for example, around time clocks, around pre-shift meetings, so there's not a congregating of people. I think this has to be not decided by companies. I think both the state and the municipality have to have a standard and a regulation, because we're not going to rely on companies to do the right thing. We've already seen what meatpacking companies have done in the United States. And we think that it's absolutely essential for both workers and the future of Vegas and our industry to make sure there's a standard that's enforceable so workers aren't exposed and guests aren't exposed.
So what was your reaction when you heard cleaning the chips only every 2 hours in terms of disinfecting, and that a mask would be given to guests in the room, but they didn't actually even have to wear them? I mean, most of us have been on a casino floor in Las Vegas. That would mean a whole lot of people are in close proximity with no protection.
Yeah, it's not just that. I mean, think about all the different touch points you have in a casino. A casino is really no different than a cruise ship on land. Thousands of rooms, tons of restaurants, the ability to congregate. I think it has to be totally re-engineered. And first and foremost, I can't think of anything that would endanger business than another coronavirus hotspot in Las Vegas. So it's about protecting the workers, protecting the guests, protecting, frankly, the future of this city. But as we look forward, this is really our industry throughout the country, in hotels and casinos. We've got to be tough in this country about how workers are protected and guests are protected in order to have a future.
So obviously, given the incredible uncertainty, the mass joblessness, the true economic tragedy that is also happening across this country, and you are seeing it, of course, with your union members. How do you keep them unified? When there is going to be a lot of pressure on them to go back to work under any circumstances because they need those jobs.
Well, there's a few things. One, the unemployment system in this country is a joke. So if they could actually get unemployment, as you know, in places like Florida, Nevada, and other states, it's almost impossible, even though they're qualified. Number two, nobody should have to choose between your life and your job. That's what we're being asked to do here. We're not rats in the lab to be tested. So I think it is absolutely essential that we do this right. I heard about Dr. Fauci, who we should listen to as compared to the
마지막
politicians.
10개 도전하겠습니다.
Right. We can't cut corners. We can't have workers be expendable like a pair of gloves or a pair of shoes.
All right. I appreciate your time, Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to go to New Jersey now, where the mayor of one town is looking at social distancing guidelines and the possibility of wearing masks on the beach when he opens it back up. Beachside video there, this is just from a few years back. You can see possible social distance in part, but it can get pretty tight on some crowded days down there, as we have seen certainly in California, Florida, and elsewhere. From now, the mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, Paul Canitra. And Mayor, I appreciate your time. So opening the beach, of course, it's the lifeblood of your community. There's no question about it, right?
40개 있어요, 40개.
Businesses, make the money they're going to make. So I understand the pressure that you feel.
40개
on
있습니다,
both sides of
40개.
this. But how would you safely bring hundreds, maybe thousands of people closely together?
Well, I think the whole plan that we have is a common sense one, Aaron.
팔이 안 움직입니다.
Sure that we don't just open the
또 쉬어야겠어.
floodgates up, completely and immediately and endanger our citizens, endanger the tri-state area, and put us at risk for potential of a second wave. What we're trying to do is a very gradual approach where we know our residents here in Point Pleasant Beach, we know our taxpayers. Like you mentioned, the
와,
beach
오늘
and the
출근하면은
ocean is their lifeblood, and if anybody knows
손이 떨릴 것
that
같습니다.
themselves, I think they do.
몇 개 남았지?
We can open it on a small scale first. Start
허리도
with
아파.
our residents.
하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 다, 여, 일곱, 여덟, 아홉 개. 90개 남았네요. 아, 잠깐만 누워 있겠습니다.
How many resources we need? How many officers up there to enforce social distancing? How many people we can have on the beach? Those kind of questions.
So, you also have a boardwalk, and this is a question that people, in coastal towns around this country are going to have. A boardwalk is even more difficult than a beach, right? It's narrow, it's jammed, that's the whole point of it. Is there any way that you could have that open safely?
Well, I think our board law
아, 이거
really
끝나고
highlights
분리수거도 해야 돼요.
municipalities, especially beach municipalities,
맞네.
up and down the coast of New Jersey and across the
아,
entire
오늘
country.
쓰레기 버리는 날이네. 아.
You alluded to it earlier in Jacksonville and Orange County, where people opened things up too quickly. There was a deluge. It was unsustainable, and people weren't practicing proper social distancing. Our boardwalk at some points is only 10 or 15 feet wide. Now that's drastically different than Atlantic City and Seaside Heights, where their boardwalks are a lot different and a lot wider. What we're looking for, and the governor here in New Jersey has given us a lot of latitude in this front, is for the municipality to know their town the best,
30분 넘었을 것
to be
같은데?
able to make the decisions for
아,
them
30분
using
넘었습니다.
that data and that knowledge that we have.
So how would you enforce, when you set your restrictions and you say you're going to have strict social distancing, which you're going to need to have?
30분 안에 300개는 못했습니다.
So we're in the process of looking at printing up temporary resident and taxpayer badges.
300개는 못했는데
We're going to
한 10개 한 번 더 해볼게요.
the boardwalk and how many seasonal officers we're going to have up
10개 더 해보고
Point Pleasant Beach in the off season is only 4,500 residents. Now in the
10개만 더
season we grow to almost 50,000
300개는 못하겠습니다, 여러분.
residents on some busy weekends.
지금 210개 했어요. 이게 9개 남았기 때문에 210개 했는데
250, 300 or so residents up there, and I think that that's
못해요,
really
못해.
palatable and something that we can really figure out how to do this properly and see if it's scalable too on a larger scale.
All right, Mayor Kanisha, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
And next, a small business owner on why some big companies and organizations, like the LA Lakers, could get a small business loan from a federal program and he can't. Also tonight, New Zealand's Prime Minister expecting 75%
여러분 안 됩니다. 못하겠어요. 300일 기념으로 팔굽혀펴기 300개 실패.
One of the nation's top actors is out front.
못하겠습니다. 다음부터 함부로 깝치지 않겠습니다.
So tell me, how have you been working out and keeping in shape at home? Do you want me to show you? Yes, I do. Okay.
This is the gym.
I've been doing a lot of body weight stuff, a lot of core. I've been using the bike trainer. I feel like